Zoom aja, Pak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our program, ELTRIS and Innovation ELTRIS, held by ASHICO and EFL and ELT Limited Department, 7 University. Dear ladies and gentlemen, we have been doing this program since last year, and now in this meeting we can start again after ages for having this kind of program, and I'd like to express my gratitude to the original people, by this case, Dr. Wala PhD, and English language teaching department, and also all the audiences. In this meeting, we will have a very interesting topic.
Cek. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to present my talk entitled Pedagogy of Multiliteracies, Learning by Design Framework in EFL's Instruction. And it's the 9th episode of ELTRIS. And hopefully, starting from now, we can start to be consistent again to hold academic discussion in our department every month or monthly. The reason why I chose this, let's say, term or theory was because, at least based on 3 reasons. First one is that the word literacy has been a buzzword recently, at least in 3 or 2 years, because initiated by Merdeka curriculum itself, because our former Education Minister of Education, Pak Nadiem Makarim, was really eager to boost Indonesian IP rank or what? API. And the indicators are 2, literacy and numeracy. So it's been the word literacy has been very popular recently under the curriculum Merdeka. And then the second reason is that it is more personal, because our department has implemented new curriculum in which we have several new courses, and one of the courses taught by me, that is English literacy in daily communication. And then by those two conditions, I was intrigued to 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 gain deeper understanding on the literacy theory itself, and I then come up with a term here, and which I think interested, that is multiliteracies. Okay, that's the reason why I chose this title. Next, how to next this? Oh, sorry. Gimana caranya? Klik apa Pak? Klik ini aja. Oh, okay. Okay. The term multiliteracies was coined by a group of 10 people who were called the New London Group. Even though it is London, but the place where they gathered was not in the UK but in the United States, because in the United States there is a place or location called New London, and it is in New Hampshire state in the USA. And this group of 10 people are coming from different and various intellectual backgrounds, and those 10 people here were actually led by two prominent scholars. Those are Mary Calensis and Bill Cope. And Mary and Calensis and Bill Cope are scholars who at that time focused more on multicultural education. Other than that, we have Norman Fairclough. If we study a critical discourse analysis, it's probably very popular and like a superstar name, because Norman Fairclough is highly cited in the area of critical discourse analysis, and Fairclough is one of the members of the New London Group. Other than those three, we have also Courtney Kasdan and Sarah Michels. Those two are not well known by classroom discourse analysis, and Sarah, according to the paper published by them, was at that time a research assistant to Noam Chomsky. So yeah, okay, let's move on to we also have Gunter Kress. Gunter Kress is a colleague to Calensis and Cope. He is well known by social semiotics, and James Paul G is well known by sociolinguistics, and the last one we have here, Martin Nakata. He focused more on indigenous education. So basically, the group of 10 people here agreed to propose a new terminology that is called at that time multiliteracies, as opposed to the traditional literacy. And they already think about that in 1994. It means it's already 31 years old. So multiliteracies is actually not a new theory, but it is something that has been formulated long time ago by this 10 group of people. Okay, in order to understand or to comprehend what multiliteracies is, we have three main questions here. Why is multiliteracy, and what is multiliteracy, and how is multiliteracy? When we talk about why, it means we are talking about the sociolinguistics background that happened at the time. And according to them, it was taken from Cope and Calensis paper. There are at least 3 areas of life: working, personal, and public. And all of these areas has went through transformation in terms of diversity and digitalization. For example, in working life, especially in 21st century era. Before I go further in details, according to Cope and Calensis, they believe that we are now living in so-called cyber social era. Cyber social era means every aspect of our life must be connected and always be connected to internet, into network, to technology. That is why there is also saying that if you want to look at how cyborg look like, look at us, look at the mirror, because we are already cyborg. We use gadget every day. We hear music through earphones. We also wear a smartwatch. So every technology has already been attached to our body almost every day. So cyborg doesn't look like a Robocop. Cyborg is like actually ourselves, but because we use technology in almost every aspect of our life. So let's talk about working life. Working life here has been transformed in diversity. We in 21st century now we can work with other people outside from our country. We can work remotely. We can work, for example, as a freelancer in Cirebon, but our company based in Singapore, let's say, and we can communicate with them through technology. So the partner of our co-worker are no longer locals. And also it's in working life, there is a digitalization. Every work now involves screen. Even though in every little aspect in our life, for example, a food merchant, traditionally food merchant will sell his or her food through person by person, but now the food merchant can sell its food or beverage through Gojek or Shopee Food, and it means it involves the screen and the digitalization. That's working life that we are now living in. And personal life. In personal life, we communicate not only through one symbols, but also various symbol. We do not only talk. We do not only communicate through text. We also communicate through video call or even image through meme, for example, or through emoji or emoticon. When we send our friend a certain emoji without any word, our friend will understand what we means. So that's what actually happened in nowadays era. Public life. In terms of public area, we now consider ourselves as not only Indonesian citizen but also global citizen. So when there is an international issue or global issue, it's no longer a West culture concern, but it also become as Indonesian concerns. For example, the issue like feminism or even LGBTQ, it's no longer Western countries concern. It's now also our concern in Indonesia, even though we live in Asian countries. So the concern now become localized. When it comes to learner, the learner also has diversity in terms of material, embodied, and symbolic. In terms of material, the students will be diverse in terms of social class, economic class. In terms of embodied differences, they are different in terms of the age, race, and so on. And the symbolic means the teacher, the learner also different in terms of episteme or the way they think, because they are attached to a certain ethnic group. It means that when they are attached to certain ethnic groups, they will also have certain way of thinking. Yes. In conclusion, for the first part is that the multi-prefix of multiliteracy can be defined into two things. The first one is multi-situational and multi-form. Multi-situational is we are living in very diverse situation, and now multi-form means we can communicate through many forms, not only text but also image, space, and so on and so forth. And of course, this is the opposite to the literacy in traditional view, because as far as I concerned, literacy in traditional view only focus on the ability of someone to read, to write of standardized language. When someone can speak, read, and write a standardized language, they are literate. But then when are able to speak ethnic language, it doesn't mean they are literate, because the standardization made what is correct or what is not correct is based on the standardization, and the standard language is very powerful in literacy, in traditional literacy point of view. So let's say I can speak Sundanese, I can write Sundanese, but I cannot write and read Bahasa Indonesia. I am illiterate because I cannot I cannot communicate with the standardized language, because Sundanese is not considered as standardized language, let's say. So literacy in traditional view put a very heavy emphasis on the standardized language, and it has something to do with the social background at the time in which the mass production of printing happens in industrialized era. Okay, let's talk about the second part. Okay, that is why literacy can also means communication in multimodal and multi-situation. The second part of multiliteracies is about what. What is design of multiliteracy, or what is multimodality? Here, Kopp and Kalantzis give examples. There are at least 1, 2, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 forms of meaning, and each of meaning has all. Okay, let's talk about the color here. There are 2 group of color, the purple and the green. The purple, the text, image, and including the space are not limited to time, while the green are limited to time. What it means by limitation to time is that when we write a text, what we have written on a piece of paper can also be read by someone 100 years later. So there is no limitation in text in terms of the time, as long as the form doesn't move or the form doesn't change. So the meaning still can surpass time. However, the green colors, including speech, sound, and body, including also probably object, but limited to body, are very limited to time being. So for example, when someone speak like this, in order to comprehend the whole meaning, the whole comprehension of the meaning conveyed by that person, we have to be at that situation, because we have to understand not only the meaning spoken by the speaker, but also we have to understand the situation, the context, the triggering events, and also other nuance. So the green one, the green colors of the form that are in green colors are very subject to situation, time, and also the agency or the role of the speaker. And it's very different to the purple one. Transposition here is defined as transformation of meaning from one form to another form. Transposition is very intrinsic to human body, because every day we do it naturally. For example, when I read my daughter a bedtime story, and the story was written in a book, kid's book, and then I read it out loud to her in order to make her bed, and then it means there is a process of transposition from text to speech. This also happen when we write a song, we write a lyric, and then the lyric, we sing it, and then we put some music. It means there is a transposition from text, the lyric that we write, into forms of music and also sound. sound and speech, and also music. So transposition is our daily process in communication. The design here, we start from the found design. It's quite abstract. The found design means the meaning that is available to the available in every in our life, and then we design our own meaning, and then our own meaning will become design artifacts, and the design artifacts will become found design again. So it is a cycle. This one is also interesting because there are 3 different colors of bubble. The first one is red, the second one is orange, and the last one is green. The different color hasn't done for nothing, because it has meanings. For example, when we think, it means we represent something on our mind. When I say mountain, what's on my mind? The image on my mind is a mountain with a lot of pines. A lot of pine trees, because I live nearby Ciremai mountain. So when I say, or when I heard someone say mountain or gunung, so in my mind I will picture Gunung Ciremai or Ciremai mountain, in which the visual is the mountain with a lot of pine trees. However, when someone from Switzerland, for example, think about a word mountain, they will picture a bit different to my version of mountain. He or she probably will think about mountain with top of ice on top of it, because in Switzerland, for example, a lot of mountains are covered by ice. So the way we think, the way we represent something on our mind is very subject to where we live, is also very flexible, is also subject to where we live, where we speak also. And do not expect other people will understand what we think unless we speak it out loud, because when we think something and we want other people to know what we think, it is unfair, because we do not materialize our thinking into words. That is why speak or symbols in communication is very vital. So, however, the different color here from red to orange, it means that there is a distortion of meaning. Distortion means when we think about mountain, it is like red, but then when we speak it, the meaning probably decreased or distorted into 70 or 80%. That is why the color changed into orange. It doesn't red anymore. When we speak, it becomes a little bit lighter, like orange or pink or something like that. So there is always this distortion. When it comes to other people's mind, when people listen to it, they will interpret based on their representational system. So when we think, we use our representational system, and then other people also will understand or interpret based on their interpretational system. So it means there must be some distortion. That is why the color change a lot from red to green. That's very different. So when we speak something, it is very common to be misunderstood by other people, because sometimes people have different representational system or even belief system. And also speak is very important if we want to convey our representation. That is the how meaning is exchanged in multiliteracies theory. Graphemes is one of the symbols that we use to communicate, and it can be in the form of letter, and it can be in the form of emoji, emoticon, and it has 2 aspects: phonemes and ideograph. Yeah. Nowadays, modern people communicate through text, use alphabet. People in in the ancient era communicate through picture, hieroglyph. Have you ever heard hieroglyph? So hieroglyph is a set of pictures made by Egyptian and ancient Egyptian, and they communicate a story through pictures that they paint on the cave. Yeah, at that time there is no letter found yet, and then the way or the grapheme that they use are visuals or in the frame of pictures. This is also another example of transposition from narrative to cinema to storytelling and so on, from lyric to music and so on. Okay, now this is about the function of meaning. Mary Kalensis and Bill Cobb and also Gunter Kress are colleague to G. Martin. G. Martin is one of the prominent scholar in systemic functional grammar, and also and of course Kalensis and Bill Cobb at that time was influenced and inspired by systemic functional grammar. However, they believe the semiotic system from Halliday's are not enough, because in Halliday's there are three semiotic, three kinds of meaning: ideational, interpersonal, and textual. However, according to them, those three are not enough, so they add three meanings, two function of meaning. So a reference here is related to ideational meaning, to Halliday's ideational meaning. So reference is same as ideational. It is the meaning that is represented on the speaker's mind. Agency is similar to interpersonal meaning in Halliday's SFGs, and it is about the role of who talk to whom, and power relation between speaker and interlocutor. And also structure is also similar or even the same to textual meaning from Halliday. The context and interest are two new additional functions. Context relates to the situation or the nuance or the triggering events and environment surrounded the talk or the exchange of communication, when and where, yes. While interest, it is about what is intended by the speaker. It is actually quite relates to the agency, but Cobb and Kalensis make it specific into another function. This is the cross between forms and function. So this is a metric. Oh, that's it. So that's about how multiliteracies view meaning-making process. So basically, this is quite similar to SFGs in terms of how they view meaning-making process. Quite similar, but a bit different. Now let's talk about the last part of multiliteracies, that is about how. When we talk about how is multiliteracy, it means how we do, how we arrange activities in order to enable someone to be able to have multiliteracy skills, let's say. So it means it's about pedagogy. So Cobb and Kalensis then formulate so-called knowledge processes. The knowledge processes are the collection of categories in order for students or for learners to know something. So when we want to know something, these are the repertoire. These are the choices of activities, and all of them are named as the knowledge processes. Okay. Okay. For areas here, starting from the green until the yellow, are not actually new. So it is actually a summary of popular or prominent pedagogic tradition tradition, or pedagogical tradition that has been around for centuries, for ages. So many Cobb and Kansis did admit on their paper that they do not create a new tradition. They do not propose a new formula of activity. They simply summarize what has been around in centuries in terms of pedagogy, and they do not want to make it contradiction to each other, because according to them, there is a lifetime, quote unquote, a debate between didactic pedagogy to authentic pedagogy. It means that the didactic belief that student needs to follow what teacher asks to do something, while in authentic pedagogy, it is quite the opposite. For example, the experiencing. The experiencing part, we can read it like this: experiencing the new and experiencing the noun. This category or these activities is rooted from progressivism or authentic pedagogy, which believes that a learner or a student should be immersed in a real life situation of learning. If a student wants to learn about photosynthesis, let's say, they have to visit a garden in which they can find a lot of trees, a lot of green leaves. If they want to know about ecosystem of pond, so they have to visit pond. If they want to learn about economic transfer or transaction, they have to visit real market, traditional market. This is what they believe in authentic pedagogy or progressivism. The immersion is their keyword. Yeah. However, it's very different to the conceptualizing. Conceptualizing with theory and conceptualizing by classifying is rooted from didactic transmission. It means that they believe students should follow the exact things that the teacher asked them to do in order to know something. In the authentic or progressive pedagogy, learning is understood as a process of constructing knowledge. However, in didactic pedagogy, learning is defined as transfer of knowledge. So they have very opposite view of learning. So one to another has very opposite view, and Mary and Francis also bring them all of them back in one table. So there is no any distinction, but we use all of them as long as it is beneficial for the learning itself. And the third one, critically, is rooted from the critical tradition, and the last one is applying, is rooted from functional pedagogy. When I firstly look at this framework, I automatically think about genre-based approach, because in genre-based approach, those activities also exist. For example, the experiencing the new and experiencing the noun is similar to the first stage of genre-based approach. In genre-based approach, the first stage is building knowledge of the field, in which students are asked to explore the topic before they write something. And it is very similar to experiencing the new and the noun. So it is actually the same, with different names or different nuance. Conceptualizing and analyzing is very similar or closely related to modeling of the text in genre-based approach, second stage. In modeling of the text, students, are asked to deconstruct a text. They have to identify the structure of the text. They have to identify the linguistic features, and also the content. For example, the bias or the purpose, and so on and so forth. So conceptualizing and analyzing is very common, is very similar to modeling of the text of GBA. While applying is very similar to joint construction of the text and independent construction of the text, the last stage of GBA. So basically, these four, are nothing new. There is nothing new here, and they are very closely associated to the previously known as genre-based approach. And okay, one thing for sure is that, however, even though they are very similar to the principles, Mary and Calansis postulates that there are no any mandatory sequence. What it means by there is no mandatory sequence is that teacher can start from any area. Teacher can start from critical analyzing. Teacher can start the learning from applying, for example, and then go to conceptualizing. So there is no any mandatory sequence in the implementation of this framework. It is very different to genre-based approach, in which the genre-based approach are required to start from the very first stage, that is BKOF, and then ended in independent construction. Even though they believe it is iteration process, it means that they can go all the way to the first stage, but the first stage, there is first and the last in GBA, but here there is no first and there is no last here in this framework. Okay, before I go to the next slide, one of another thing to bear in mind is that these are collections of activities: experiencing the new, experiencing the noun, conceptualizing with theory, conceptualizing by classifying. These are activities, and those are called knowledge processes. However, when a teacher use these activities, or when a teacher design an instruction or a lesson plan, and the lesson plan is based on these activities, that is then called learning by design. So learning by design is the design made by teacher for the classroom instruction, inspired by these activities. But the activities themselves are known as knowledge processes. So okay. And also the last thing to clarify is that the author Cobb and Calansis do not serve it as a receipt rather than as a repertoire. So this is not receipt rather than repertoire. Repertoire means a choice of collection of choices. Repertoire is like grocery stores. When you visit a grocery store, there are a lot of beverages, a lot of foods, a lot of snacks. You do not have to buy all of them. You just pick any snacks, any beverage, any food that you wish you want to eat or that you need. There is a repertoire. So teacher do not have to use all of them. They just have to pick any activity that is suitable for learning objective. And it is so different to genre-based approach, in which the genre-based approach should follow the mandatory stage. So the repertoire is like a collection of choices. Okay. This is the last thing for this part. If we look at the green and the yellow colors area, those two belongs to social, emotional, or embodied learning. So when someone says embodied learning or multisensory learning, it's also represented here. And also the blue and red color represents cognitive learning. Okay. These are the examples and also the keywords. If we want to experience, we can ask students to bring in something or to talk about something they know and so on. So these are the keywords. I do not have to explain in detail. So at the end, the author wants us to believe that this framework will promote education justice for not only for students who are privileged, but also for students who are underprivileged. For example, those who live in rural area, those who live in minority ethnic group, and also those who live to in the area of the literature is very limited. Okay, this is the part when I, along with Panana, agreed to implement this framework in our next semester course. Next semester, in semester 4, there will be a newly created course called Writing for Scientific Publication. And I, along with Pana, have discussed that we are going to implement the framework also combining with process-based approach in our course. So this is how it looks like. So we separate the semester into two halves. The first half of the semester, we focus on experiencing, conceptualizing, and analyzing. So in the first half of the semester, we are going to ask students to deconstruct scientific paper in various kinds of activity. Yeah, those are the experience. Those are the activities. Experiencing the noun until the analyzing critically. While on the second half of the semester, we focus more on the applying area, the green one, the yellow one. So we actually start from green, blue, red, and yellow. So the yellow will be exposed more on the second half of the semester. Even though there is no mandatory sequence stated by the author, but we think that it is beneficial for our course if we start from green until and ended in the yellow one. So in the yellow one, we break down the activities into into 5 writing processes: pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and publishing, because we believe writing is a recursive process. So it is not a one-time process. When we want to write something, it is not enough when we have a draft. It should be revised, it should be edited and published. So these are actually still in the era of so these are the plan. This is the plan of our course. It hasn't been implemented, but hopefully this will be successful in order to meet the objective of the learning from writing course later on. Okay, that is the end of my slide. Thank you for traveling with me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Informative and interesting presentation from Pak Nizar Ibnus, and then finally, okay, I believe that it's very important and crucial occasion for us, because Pak Nizar and I are going to have new courses, and in which that it's our challenge to meet the expectations of the courses, because the expectation of the course is so high. Scientific publication, I don't know whether the students are required to publish their research or what, but we have already discussed. So they are expected to at least submit.
Yeah, submit
At
least.
They have already know how the mechanism to submit the paper on the reputable and indexed at least Sinta berapa nih, mungkin
The lowest one.
and for you those who are in the fourth semester, so it's kind of
Susah.
pointer, yeah. Guys. to have this course. And it's not also about the recent finding, but also it is very important for our faculty member to actually to explore what we are going to have next semester. And it is nice. It's very important for us to have some insight from faculty members of the ELTRIS department, and we're gonna be very we will welcome for your insights and comments and suggestions. And now it's a time for us to next sessions, what's it as the question and answer or comments from the audience. And also I would like to invite from those who are in Zoom, you can raise your hand. There will be
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Nizar and Pak Nana, for making an initiative for the department, and I also thank Sekjur, and all participants coming here. So thank you for making this event happen. So what Nizar has shared with us this morning reminds me of my learning process probably almost a decade ago. I was a fan of meta-analysis until I met Anya Lion. So no longer the fan of meta-analysis right now. But I just want to highlight some, let's say, philosophical framework of the multiliteracies, right? So yeah, I like the idea that language teaching should be focused on promoting social justice, but actually that's not the main aim of the field yet, unless we can create a global policy on how we can better foster justice in our society. So yes, Nizar has mentioned that multiliteracies is the next level of genre-based approach, but I don't see any big differences actually, because if you simply put your teaching practices into two hubs, it seems to me that the teaching will be, let's say, linear in nature. Whereas in fact, if you go back to the real concept of framework provided by Gunter Kress, he mentioned that in multiliteracies, we are dealing with multiple modes of communication, right? Not only linguistic, but we're also dealing with visual, audio, gestural, spatial, digital. And up to this very moment, I haven't found any specific case studies that tells me very specifically that this actually works best for certain language and social, let's say, entities. So my first question is, do you actually have the real specific successful stories where those framework, I mean, embracing multiple modes of communication actually works in your setting? That's number one, because Mary Francis was not very successful in Australia, and then she and her husband moved to USA, and I haven't seen any successful stories yet. So that's the background story. And number two, in the last couple of months, I've been reading again Bakhtin's, Bakhtin, yeah. So I think the missing point from multiliteracies is that they do not specifically mention
common suggestion or suggested questions for either. So, do you directly want to respond Paul's question and insights? Please.
If I'm not mistaken, there are 3 questions, yeah, Pak.
Yeah, I guess 3 questions.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I'll try my best as far as I concerned, and if Palala hasn't been a fan of medical analysis already, I just started to fan of her. So it's quite late for me, yeah, but at least I recognize that this theory exists, and at least I was intrigued to explore more. And then I believe I also have a lot of time, a lot of things to catch up in order to understand what's really works for transformative learning. And then, and in regards to your first question, it is about the linear yeah, linearity of our course plan, Pak. So we actually believe that there is no any we ourselves still think that this is the best version so far, unless there is another option to revise it. So we actually welcome any ideas in for the beneficial of the course. So however, as far as we concern, this is our best plan for the next courses, because it is the next course, because this is also very new, and this is the very first semester that we are going to start the class. So we have no any idea, and there is no any we cannot follow any courses yet, because it is very unique and very specific in terms of scientific publication. But we believe that in order for students to create a piece of paper in terms of a scientific paper, of course they have to at least familiarize with the paper they are expected to make, and that it takes a lot of time, and we need a lot of time for the construction process before they actually make it by themselves. So we think that the first half is enough, and we do not also think that it is too much for them to have the construction process. But if Palala and other people or other lecturers here have any suggestion on the sequence of learning or the plan, we are very welcome for the new idea, because we already have no idea, and we think so far this is the most suitable. And we haven't the second, and also it relates to the second question of Palala. Is there any successful story from multiliteracy? I actually haven't read a lot about multiliteracy. I have just read 3 or 4 papers of them. I found one paper, but it is not free, but
Yeah.
so it's actually the title is called Multiliteracies, and the first chapter is written by Kalansis and Cobb, and the next chapter is actually book chapter, and the next chapters are from teachers or lecturers that have implemented the multiliteracies themselves itself. But I have no any access to that book, but I am able to access the first chapter also written by Kansas and Cobb. However, if I'm able to access the rest of the book, I probably will think about other options about how to implement the multiliteracies. So my question is, so far I haven't got any options, but we think that as long as I concern that learning nowadays cannot only focus on, even though the course name is writing, but we have to explore other multimodal experiences, like making a, let's say, for example, in the first semester, in literacy courses, I asked them to create a comic before they make a narrative text. there is one of example of multimodality that I have implemented in my own course in semester 1. They also made like a video and so on. So what we are going to try also in this course here is that we are going to try another options, not only by making a lot of words, a lot of text or reading, but also we probably will try to explore other choices, like other forms of meaning making. So that is number 2 probably, yeah. And the last question of Parala is, sorry, I forgot, Pak.
It's about human agency, right?
Oh yeah, human agency.
There's centrality of human agency in the system.
That's also what I think about this theory. This theory doesn't really put an emphasis on human agency. I believe so that they do not really put emphasis on the human. They only focus on what's already outside human.
Yeah,
That's what I believe also after reading some of their papers. So as far as I concerned, the agency or the role of people or the interlocutor are limited only to what they intend, or what the interlocutor interpret. That's it. So there is not any further explanation in terms of how meaning is, I don't know, adjusted or how people how the speaker or the producer of the meaning influence the meaning and so on.
And then probably another thing that you can take into account is how long the deconstruction process will actually happen. Now we live in AI world.
Yeah.
I think we can accelerate the learning time faster and in a shorter amount of time. I think that will also help a lot. And since your course is dealing with scientific publication, I think I have not mentioned one key point. So whatever that we do in this learning process is to develop the abstraction skill of the students, right? So reading, writing should be in the high level of abstraction. I think that's the key, right? If I don't know whether you guys will encourage the students to publish in Sinta 2. Well, I'm not happy with Sinta 2 publication. My paper is like shit. Not that good enough. So even if we produce in a one journal, I guess we will still have to see the level of abstraction. But Panana and Nizar, thank you so much for sharing. So well appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Pak, for your. Thank you very much, Parala, for very insightful responses. And what else? About AI, I also believe that we have to think about how we properly use AI as an instructor, because nowadays AI become smarter and smarter than us, and there is and there is another generative AI that's been controversial and interestingly popular now is it is called DeepSeek, ya, Pak, from China. And I have compared the result of DeepSeek and ChatGPT. I try to put the same prompt, and in my opinion, DeepSeek has better ability in deep thinking or in in cognitive processing, because they also show us the process of their thinking in terms in a lot of texts. So there is the reality that we live in right now, and we have to be we have to be more aware of that technology, and I myself haven't known how to use AI in order to let them to explore in terms of abstracting. And we also have, I myself have my own insecurity in terms of when I give an example, an assignment, I do not want, my first what I think is that, is it AI generated or not? That is what I think firstly, not whether this is good or not, but what I think firstly is that this student use AI generative AI or not. So that's actually give another burden for us to teach, not only to measure the quality of the work, but also to make sure that it is not made by AI. That's actually make teaching harder nowadays, not easier. Yeah.
That's true.
Any other opinion, moderator, please? Sorry.
Yes. Maybe, yeah, Paul has already mentioned about actually this is part of us when we're there to make sure that at the first of the literacy semester, the first semester and second semester has affected the way of they think, the way of cara mereka menulis, membaca, kemudian di literasi 1 dan literasi 1 dan 2 itu sudah mereka sudah punya preferensinya bagus ya Pak. Makanya actually when the faculty and the department asked me apa, I think harus sekolah yang lebih lebih cocok karena beliau berpengalaman terkait dengan banyak hal dan menulisnya juga. Tapi Pak Edi dan jurusan memaksa saya untuk mendesain untuk
Bukan sisa itu.
oh saya
Yang ini nggak dirapat kan dengan sisa.
dia cuma telat
Ya.
jadi oke paling jarang oke dan seret ya itu listening aja baik. Okay, thank you for Kalala and then the insights, and I'd like to invite
Bu Emma, please.
please.
Okay, Big Bu.
Thank you very much. It was a very interesting presentation actually, but I want to share something that I did when I was in graduate school. I worked with the peer assessment in scientific writing. So I did a research in the scientific writing score graduate program, and then it's actually similar with this kind of stages, right? But in the advising and editing process, my lecturer do a peer assessment in that process. So students will exchange their paper with others and they do peer review. And I would say that's not I think from my research that is clearly help students to improve their writing actually. Because when they read their own writing, they will not see any flaws because they will only say that their writing is perfect already. But when they read another's writing, they will find some from the editing perspective, like for example, that the grammar, spelling, and writing, it is not in a correct form. I think that's for me.
Okay.
There is also a drawback, Bu Emma, in terms of peer reviewing. I have implemented a peer review, and I see some limitations on that. Is when I asked them to exchange their paper or their work with their partner beside them, they do not really think about, they do not optimally edit or revise or even read correctly their partner's work. They only concerned about his or her own work, and then the result doesn't was not satisfied. And later on, knowing that we have generative AI that is very smart, now I ask them to post their piece of paper. They have to handwrite their text. It happens last semester in semester 1, and I asked them to write, let's say, a text, and then the text should be photographed, and then I asked them to upload it to Gemini, because because Gemini is only generative AI that they can give feedback in terms of picture at that time. And I asked them to give some feedback based on and I asked them to give a prompt to Gemini to give some feedback based on that picture alone, that picture alone. And then I think that's better. The result is better, and it takes a lot of our time. However, and then another drawback, another limitation also comes when we have to check whether they did it correctly or not. So there is always plus and minus, but as far as I know that generative AI is very useful for replacing peer feedback and peer editing. But probably the generative AI will only applicable for editing, not for revising. I don't know, because for the editing, in editing, the focus is only on the mechanics, like the punctuation, the spelling, and the grammar. And generative AI can work better than human in terms of that. However, when it comes to revising, in terms of evaluating the content, evaluating the argument or the flow of the paragraph, let's say, I think it's better human to do it. But then once again, when we ask student to peer revise to the partner, I still believe that it's better for the lecturer himself to correct to revise the paper. But yeah, it comes with consequence that it takes a lot of our time. So there is also very correcting students' paper is very tiring, and it takes a lot of time, because at the end of the time, it is the lecturer or the teacher, him or herself, that should revise. That's actually a quite classical problem when I teach. That's quite classic in writing course. Banana, is there any additional suggestion, idea?
Udah, oh iya. Ya, jadi saya pikir tadi ya, kekhawatiran saya ketika saya mengajar writing adalah tadi penggunaan AI yang saya pikir ketika misalkan mahasiswa diminta untuk nulis abstrak, makanya kalau misalkan dengan menggunakan AI langsung lu jadi kayaknya kan gas tafsir kan sendiri yang terjadi gitu. Cuma kan yang saya khawatir adalah cara berpikirnya, logiknya mereka bisa kenapa bisa seperti itu, apa logiknya, itu yang sangat perlu dilakukan. Jadi kalau cuma sekedar tulisannya bagus dalam sebuah artikel, terus lantas kamu ngerti gak logiknya apa, kenapa bisa seperti itu, ya tahu usah. Jadi itu yang saya khawatir ketika begitu. Jadi mengajar itu soalnya kemarin Pak Nizar, my experience when I was handling TEFL, and then at the time the last assignment or the final test was in the form of the paper, and you know what? I saw my student could write very well in a very beautiful languages in dot, and that was not that level.
Yeah.
So it must be, I'm sure that it's 90% of my students did with paper for sure. So that's why, that's my worries of handling writing courses actually.
But still, Pak Hendy, wait a minute. But still, we have to think about it, about this issue thoroughly. Whether in our daily life we want to use AI every day or not. If we are okay for using AI every day, I think that's not really problem when students use AI for their assignment.
Yeah.
But then why we have to use AI when we can make it ourselves, or we have to separate the role. The AI is like the AI is our employee and we are the employer. The employer has the brain, has the concept, and has the theory or has the scheme what's the product should look like at the end. But the AI will be the employee or people who, or let's say people who works in repeatedly, because I have heard a podcast saying that the AI is generated because it is intended to replace humans' job that is that based on repetition. If writing is repetition, I think that's enough. That's okay if we use AI. But then the brain or the concept, the abstract should human to think about, not the AI. AI just pekerja.
Yeah.
The mandor is us. That's actually what we have to think about it when we use AI.
Yeah. Ya, makanya
Yeah, that's it.
I think, ad- ada ini Pak tadi apa kemarin tadi sempat di call sama Pak itu ada Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kemendikbud itu ya, itu merilis bahwa ada rules yang terbaru 2024 ya Pak ya. Ada aturan bagaimana menggunakan AI untuk di higher education. Jadi mahasiswa harus tahu dan kita juga saya harus tahu supaya nanti bagaimana harus dibolehkan, mana yang do's and don'ts-nya. Jadi mana 2024 atau 2005 ya saya baca sih, tapi pada 2025 bukan 2025 itu ada baru rilis. Jadi nanti I need to provide for the students also and for me myself also to see so what you can do and what you cannot do. Okay, well, I think it's the last stations of our ELTRIS program, and then it was very nice discussion, interesting and informative for us, everyone. And then I'd like to give appreciation for Pak Nizar.
Thank you very much.
Follow Mela, PhD, and also the audiences, the faculty member,
This is the book.
the students. Nah ini tahun berapa nih Jar?
2024.
Nah ini. So ada. And then for also the audiences in Zoom, thank you so much for your participations. And I'd like to I am as a moderator would like to say thank you and thank you so much for your participation and see you on the next program of ELTRIS. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Panasnya.
Covernya aja AI, Pak.
Iya ya banget.
Itu dia bilang cover buku ini di-generate oleh AI itu. Ini paragraf ini.
Iya luar biasa ya. Itu image apa? Itu banget bagus.
Jadi ada gitunya, kalau mau katanya ada beberapa cara. Pertama tuh prohibition 100% atau ada penggunaan tapi dengan spoiler atau dengan bilang. Misalnya Mas itu bilang bahwa ini bagian ini bikin AI gitu.
Diskusinya ada tambahan. Urung.
Soalnya
Enak.
Ini harusnya material baru.